Hi everyone, welcome to the Stripped Down to Love podcast video where the essence of love comes from within. I'm your host, Jennifer. Thank you so much for joining me here and being here with me in this very moment. As always, I appreciate it so much. So welcome to 2023. We made it. And I know that in the last podcast I was like, well, I don't know what I'm gonna talk about. But one day I was driving in the car and I came up with what I'm gonna talk about today and throughout several episodes from now. So lately I have been breaking it up into parts, and this most likely will be broken into 3 parts. For me, this is a little bit heavier episode because it talks about and it answers the question of how do we get there? How do we get to a positive movement and positive mindset? And movement, I mean by energy flow, and also about actions, reactions, and responses, which you'll hear a lot about that in this episode here. So let's start with the opening meditation. Take a deep breath. I feel like I haven't done one of these for so long and I really miss it. So let's take a deep breath in and out. We welcome new energy into this podcast so that it may sit with us and be with us. Because today, positive new energy, we will be discussing creation of a positive mind and how we get there. Thank you so much for being here with us and comforting us and giving us high fives. This is like high five energy. This is motivation energy, and this is loving energy that is coming to meet us here in this podcast. All right. Take a deep breath. If you are ready, say you are ready. And I want you to remember that you are love. You are here to pursue the best you. And you are here to spiritually awake to different levels of your soul. And you are here specifically for soul growth. And the ultimate love comes from within you. Everything that we discuss in here is all discussed from the heart, and for our hearts to evolve and to love ourselves just a little bit more. Take a deep breath. Now you are ready to listen to all the things that I have to say. Let's open our hearts. You are safe and you are protected. All right, so how do you get to a positive mindset? How do you get to manifesting to what you really want? What your soul wants? Yes, our souls desire a lot, but what does your soul want? And what does it want to manifest in front of you so that you are happy each and every day? Yes, there will always be things that we have to work towards, but things in front of you, you can say, I manifested that, and that, all from soul growth. Sometimes, manifesting what you want may take, in our human mind and our human timeline, a very, very long time. But it's probably because our human department has not caught up to what our soul really wants. And maybe our soul isn't ready to take that leap. And it's totally okay. So, back to the question. How do you get to a positive mindset? I know a lot of you may be saying, well, you get there through self-awareness, but for the people that don't actually know the true definition, or can't actually feel what self-awareness is, let's break it down for them. Self-awareness is knowing your current situation. The thing, the episode, the situation, the circumstance that you are in currently. Knowing your current feelings. What kind of mood am I in right now? Knowing your current responses, reactions, knee-jerk reactions, your patterns that you do every day, but holding on to that path that you desire to be on. Even if there is so much chaos going around, you're like, nope, I'm on this path. I'm going to hold on to it. If I have to partake in something, then I will. But if it is none of my business, I most likely will not partake in it. So that is what self-awareness is for me and for the purposes of this episode and my podcast. Many other people may have different definitions for it, but for this episode, that's what I'm using. Okay, so let me break this down for you with an example. So self-awareness, we're going to use an example, and I'm also going to share my own example about self-awareness and how I got to a positive mindset, but that'll be later on in the episode. But I just want to give you a scenario because, as you know, I love scenarios. So let's do this. The current situation is you're at work. Also, let's add in your current go-tos, which are reactions, responses, or tics, knee-jerk reactions to certain situations that you see and you desire to partake in. So you're at work and there's 2 or 3 people gossiping about someone else. Your current mood is inclusion, right? And being inclusive. Like, I want to be included in this, I want to be included in that. And you're including yourself in everything else except your work, what you're supposed to do. We're working on ourselves, and we're working, well, obviously, in your job to pay for things that you need, right? And being sort of gossipy at work, is this like your natural response? This is what I'm getting to. Natural response, patterns, things like that, okay? So your reaction, when you see people talking about others, do you always desire to go up to them and ask them what's going on or what is the situation? So be cognizant or aware of our patterns, because a lot of the times, like, we're not aware of things that we're doing because we've just done them because they're so natural for us, or it's a way to keep us safe, right? And so this is pulling from ego. We will get to that in a little bit. Okay, so I want to ask you the question again. Is this your common response for this scenario? But keep in mind, just pick out all of your little like patterns, responses, like, oh yeah, that's my response to that situation would be this. So when you pull yourself, when you look at yourself from a different perspective, then maybe you can find these patterns a little bit easier. All right, so deep down, so we're seeing this and our pattern is to get up and talk to them, right? But deep down, you want to be, and you continue to and desire to be included in more positive talk. You don't really want to always be included in or include yourself in types of conversations that put people down, that are theoretical, that you not necessarily have control over, right? So I want to impress upon you that these behaviors take you off of the path that is meant for you, and you are just wasting your time and wasting your soul growth time. So choosing different conversations, higher level, more positive talk conversations doesn't waste your time. But other types of conversations, theoretical, putting people down, putting a system down, and sometimes we have to talk about it in order to share and be knowledgeable about information, right? So that we know the next step, so which is totally fine. But we're sticking to the scenario that I gave you in the beginning, okay? So the bigger picture or choices would be, or not to be partaking or partake, and be known as the gossiper in the office, right? You want to be known for more than that. You want to be known as a hard, compassionate, kind worker that doesn't lose their temper and go and talk about someone, right? Okay? So now we have to keep in mind that we're trying to change how we think, how we feel inside. And if you still want to continue in on doing that behavior, about being the office gossiper, then it's totally up to you. But keep in mind, if you want to change the neurons and synapses, the way the energy flows through your mind, more into a positive pattern and arrangement, then choosing differently and being self-aware, meaning knowing that your response is to walk over there and have a long discussion about how things are going at work. Maybe for 2 out of the 3 situations, you want to step back and you want to maybe just choose a different emotion or choose a different thought process. Like, okay, I'm just going to sit back, take a deep breath. Currently, that conversation is none of my business, and I am going to take a deep breath, which centers me and calms me down. So choices. Maybe that's what the title of this podcast should be. Don't know. I didn't make a title yet. Obviously, you'll see it when it's uploaded. And I'm not saying this is wrong, but I'm giving you a situation when you continually to choose and flow into specific patterns. So you're going to hear this a lot. You're going to be like, oh my gosh, okay, we got it, patterns. But this is what I'm trying to impress upon you, is that we don't know these things until actually somebody points it out to us. But yeah, if you want to change, you have to choose differently, okay? So for example, up until this point, this moment that I'm sharing this specific podcast with you, people would, tell me about self-awareness and use the term explicitly, which of course I'm not saying is wrong. It culminates and embodies a huge you, uniquely you. It embodies a whole entire, consciousness and unconscious being and intuition and spiritual awakening, which is awesome. But we want to break the term self-awareness down, knowing your patterns so well that you use them as your strength without ego, which I already gave you an example of self-awareness. So yes, knowing who you are, but knowing your patterns, your moods, your reactions, your responses, and knowing your bigger picture goal, your future goal. I want to change this about myself. And we may not even know that we want to change a certain thing about ourselves until the universe actually tells us. And I will give you an example and a whole entire story in a minute, okay? Knowing who your soul wants to be and keeping those goals in front of you. It's like, I don't know, you know the fish, I don't know the name, but the fish that has a lantern or a beacon in front of it and it, uses it to, it's a deep sea fish. I don't know what the name is. But it's like that. So it's like keeping your goals in front of you and moving down a path and always looking towards that light. And anything else on the side may be really pretty and may be very exciting to interact with, but it may not be on your path or goal. All right?